Ever wonder what should happen when in order to get a software product out the door on time? Greetings, I'm Dr. Will, and welcome to Dr. Will's Software Quality Channel, where we help to raise the quality of software being built today. A software development project is usually, if not always, complicated by lots of moving parts. Let's try to make some sense out of all that. If you've already subscribed to the channel, thank you. If you would like to be notified of more content like this, then subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notification. Over the past 50 years, there have been many software development process models proposed. From the engineering and architecture inspired and much scorned waterfall process to today's agile process, there's been an evolution of these models over time. They all attempt to address the same set of core problems. One thing is certain, that eventually or soon, another process model will come down the road promising to be the be-all, end-all, final best process for developing software. And it won't be, but it will solve some of the problems that exist and introduce others. What can we say about the software development process that's kind of universally true? First, we have to know what we're going to build before we build it. Makes sense. We don't have to necessarily know everything about what the finished product is going to be. That was the mistake that the waterfall model made. First, we have to know what we're trying to build before we build it. It's not necessarily the ultimate end, as in an architect's finished drawing, but we do need to know what we're building next. Not only do we have to know what we're building next, but we have to know how we're going to build it. This is especially true if you have more than one person working on it. Because if you have more than one person working on it, then they're going to have to make their parts work together. And you don't want to end up like the railroad tracks that come together in the middle of the country like that and not work. While building it, we'll have to construct it with high quality materials. In our case, that means well-written code. And well-written code means that the code is both correct and it's also understandable by the people who are going to have to maintain and sustain that system over the long term. Finally, when all the parts are put together, it has to work and do what was intended in the first place, assuming that hasn't changed along the way. Agile and waterfall don't really differ so far as the requirements have to precede the design, which has to precede the code, which has to precede the actual implementation and integration of the system. They differ from each other by virtue of the fact that the waterfall model attempts to build the whole building at once, while Agile, with the entire building in mind, is satisfied with starting with a floor or a room at a time. So where does quality fit into this picture? At each stage of the process, there are quality activities and tasks that are mapped to the development process. It's usually represented as kind of a V model, that with the development processes on the one side and the quality processes on the other side. This model has been maligned, but that's because people assume that it's mapped to that waterfall process, but it's not. At each step where you're defining the requirements, let's say, or looking at the design, or actually writing the code and integrating it, at each of those stages, whether you're building the entire thing at once, or you're building just a piece at a time, each of those steps and each of those pieces need to be quality assured. We'll retain that V model because it's instructive, and it's a good model because it helps map what quality activities belong with what development activities at each stage of the process, irrespective of your overall software engineering process. It's interesting that since the introduction of the computer terminal, which is already an archaic term, so after punched cards, software development has always looked like typing, or keyboarding as it's now called. That looks like anybody can do it. But as you know, if you've ever tried to write well, even a short essay, there's a big difference between writing and typing. There's an even bigger difference between coding and writing and typing. That's something we'll talk about in a later segment. This channel is dedicated to quality, especially software quality. So if you'd like more content like this, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notification. And if you have any questions or you have a particular topic you'd like me to address, then just throw it in the comments below or send us a note and I'd be happy to entertain your questions. A little soft shoe. That's it for me, for you for now. Hope you have a great day, a great week. You be careful out there. I'll be seeing you. Bye.